Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Had a bit of a hiccup with the lobby, and it's just been remade, so just waiting on the second Russian broadcaster, and then we will be heading right back into game number 2. My name, of course, is Dragon Drop. I'm still joined by Skim. What are your thoughts on the last game? That was kind of a crazy turnaround, wasn't it?
It kind of was, but at the same time, it was sort of, I mean, again, looking at the draft, I think it is something to be expected. Not necessarily in the way it happened, but the result, I think, is ultimately something very... Again, very to be expected. Dusa, again, as a hero, just comes online much quicker than Nagasaran.
Yeah.
I mean, they had very comparable net worth at some point, but, you know, at, what, 30 minutes into the game, we had Skadi, Maelstrom, Merc and Pike, Mask and Mantis on Dusa. And on the other side, we had Radiance, Manta Style, and that's about it.
Oh, yeah. Radiance Manta BOTs. Yeah, right. It was a bit of a timing push, really, right? Like what Liquid used to do every single time in at TI, right? You have this timing, you get to where you need to be, and then you just go high ground, and you win the game, right? That's what Liquid did with the GH Cardinal time and time again. And in this case, it was just this window where Nagasan wasn't quite ready yet, where it didn't have time to establish this map control and just start sending illusions everywhere, right?
I will also say that I do think that Geek it almost felt like they crumbled under a little bit of pressure. When they got pushed in bottom because they were down a man, the Tusk was still dead. I think they could have decided to either just concede the racks, or to just play it very safe, just not try to contest as much. But you know, they almost threw their own bodies at them, despite being a man down. And then they lost a guy, and then they lost. Obviously, they still had the Aegis, but then they lost. I feel like the Aegis gave them potentially too much confidence into that fight, and they thought, well, maybe we can fight this.
Yeah.
But they were also very indecisive. They're going back and forth. Do we fight this? Do we fight this not? And then when the Gyrocopter did lose his Aegis, they were actually in a really bad position.
Yeah.
Right. Same with the fight afterwards, which cost the GG. Is that you could just tell they were just not sure how to approach that fight. You know, they didn't really know how to position themselves. How do we take the fight against the Phantom Monster and a Dusa?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we've talked about the Dusa versus Nagasaran, but we haven't really, you know, there's also a Phantom Monster, and even though let's just imagine he has less net worth than a Gyrocopter, it's still, yeah, Gyrocopter Flat Cannon does technically do well against illusions, but it's not the like the final answer really to that kind of question. Do we take down Phantom Monster? I look at Gyrocopter, I just shake my head, because that's just... No, that hero does not do well against Phantom ones at that stage of the game. Certainly not with his items. Again, his items were, like the Radiance, more so to continue farming, to build an item advantage, if anything, or just to keep up with the Dusa's farm. And he was just not able to find that farm.
Yeah, so at that point, this kind of fight, it's really going to come down to you having to make a decision. You have to take the perfect team fight with initiating with the Song of the Siren. And this is a very tricky thing to do if you also need it as that reset button. Like we were seeing, like the clip is on Twitter, by the way, at ESL Dota 2. If you missed that one, and also lagging. Because game's still in beta, somehow it just makes explicit lag when we're in the draft screen, but not outside of it. But hey, I gave it away now. We're in the draft screen, so let me show you that instead of our faces. Because we're starting now with game number 2.
And yeah, I mentioned in the last game that Geek Fam, they really love banning that Enchantress in Doom, and you know that maybe they should just look towards banning some of the Tim's heroes, or they have to look towards banning some of Tim's heroes. But as I also mentioned, it's impossible to ban all of his heroes. So what they do instead is they just let all of them through effectively. They pick up the Night Stalker for themselves, and now TNC is can figure out themselves what they want to pick up for Tim's. Obviously, TNC did ban 2 of Tim's heroes themselves, in the form of the Bounty Hunter and the Nyx Assassin. But they also take away all these Shadow Shaman and the Tusk. Honestly, if I didn't see the team names, and didn't see the bans, this could easily be just the other way around. You know, we've seen the Tusk Shadow Shaman opener from Geek Fam time and time again. And the Night Stalker, of course, again, one of Tim's favorite heroes, but this time around, it's the other way around, I suppose.
Oh, both teams taking a page out of the other team's playbook here by the looks of it, saying, hey, whatever you can do, we can do better. And, well, TNC can pull this off, and of course, they'll make this a quick 2 victory and punching the ticket to the Best of 5 Grand Finals tomorrow. And, well, if you win that, you punch a ticket to Genting, which, if nothing else, is a very nice place to go on vacation here, as I've heard.
It looks amazing, certainly.
TNC's turn to
All
ban.
the videos that the ESL has.
Like I've watched a video of the Resorts World thing.
Yeah.
Where that's happening. It's like crazy up in the hills and the mountains.
If anybody from ESL is watching, hey, please.
Yeah, right.
Radiant
One thing I
team
wanted to
ban.
mention about this, despite having cast Geek Fam all week, we haven't seen the Puck yet. And Puck is one of the most banned heroes against Geek Fam because they're actually really, really strong at that hero. But they've been prioritizing the Shadow Shaman Tusk, or just in general, the support in the early phase, and it sometimes just doesn't, allow the Puck to go through still in the later stages of the game. And sometimes it doesn't necessarily fit anymore. But, here we are. Nightstalker Puck, also two heroes that I feel really comfortable with. And I'm honestly kind of excited. Because not often do we see a team that has like a hero like a Puck as the hero, and the teams prioritize in terms of bans.
Yeah.
Usually we see supports being targeted, maybe carries, but yeah, most of the time it's just
supports offlaners really.
Supports
right?
offlaners, yeah. So obviously Puck can be an offlaner as well, and I do expect it actually to be an offlane just because I think it has its. I think Puck's strengths still do well, or Puck does still well as an offlaner, right? All the abilities still, obviously they don't necessarily scale, but, they still do what they need to do. They have the silence, you have the control from the offlane. Doesn't need to have the safe lane farm, and the mid lane farm.
At the same time, like, every single time we've seen Geek Fam so far pick up the Nightstalker, it was in Hands of March in the offlane.
That's a very good point.
And we've been praising Ollie on the Shadow Shaman throughout this entire tournament, but March on Nightstalker is on the same kind of level, I feel like, right? He's also been on point with that, just finding the right silences, the right rotations at the right time, and with the early levels that you get out of that offlane, if you can make it work, like if you don't get zoned out like crazy, it's actually so much easier to make that happen even the first night time, because as a support you often end up just being level 2, which is like, oh yeah, I have a level 1 Void and level 1 Hunter the Night, as opposed to like level 2 Void, level 1 Silence here is necessary, and 2 points up in the Hunter the Night. It's a whole different power level already.
For sure. And we've seen them also itemize in tons of different ways, right? And I think that's sort of like the strength of the team. They sort of like know how to approach scenarios differently. Yeah, we did see them sort of not necessarily crumble, but I do think they felt the pressure in the last game, and I do think they probably didn't make the right decisions in certain scenarios. So, they're not perfect by any means. Nobody really is, but I think we've seen them play throughout this entire week, and they've been steadily growing, really.
Yeah. Well, they have to grow one more time. They have to find a way to...
Technically 2 more times.
2 more times, right. One step at a time, man.
Right.
One step at a time.
All right.
Gonna have to face up against the Cuckoo Dragon Knight.
There's some nasty push coming in from TNC.
Oh,
DK
yeah.
Shadow Shaman, and Geek Fam's lineup currently does not deal well with the push coming in from TNC. Puck as a hero actually doesn't do well against those wards. Yeah, you have a decent range and obviously attack damage, but those wards just eat you up.
Yeah, damage doesn't really matter. You need attack speed, and guess that's the like you can. I believe you have range wards, right? As a Puck, not entirely sure.
Possibly.
Yeah. So like, if that's the case, then you can just pick them off from a safe distance for some free farm. But sometimes it really matters to bring them down quickly to prevent your tower from taking too much damage, or just to have the ability to chase after them into some extra kills, like the Puck wants to do, right? With the coil, Nightstalk as well. So we'll see how that comes into play.
I also worry about Geek Fam's initiation potential right now. Until the Puck has a blink, it's really difficult for them to initiate. Kind of have to just run in from the Nightstalker or the Bane at the moment. And against the Tusk, Shadow Shaman, DK, all of which have like really good disables, it's not easy to just run in, right?
Yeah.
Even if you do get run in, there's a defensive snowball as well. So TNC's lineup right now, I mean, there's a reason why Geek Fam has been prioritizing this support combo, right? Or this combo of Shadow Shaman Tusk, not necessarily Tusk as a support, but just in general.
Yeah.
Because they work well together.
Yeah, especially if you already see the Nightstalker, right? I mean, picking up tanky heroes that are very hard to gank, even as an offlane Nightstalker, makes the hero so much less valuable. If you cannot provide this pressure in the first and second nighttime, then you're missing out on so much potential on things that other heroes could be doing instead in that position, instead of the Nightstalker. So I really like this support from TNC, and they also managed to pick up a really good lineup with that, right? You mentioned the push. On top of the tankiness here, they also have a lot of control to work with, and now all they need, especially with Underlord, adds even more of the same, essentially. Teamfight control, tankiness, mobility from the ultimate, and now all they need is another big damage dealer out of the safe lane. I wouldn't be too surprised to see even something like a Raven Terrorblade here.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I would add more to the push, and it fits the bill. Another tanky hero difficult to bring down. Right now you want to make sure that whatever carry you pick up doesn't get killed easily by the gang potential that Geek Fam have, right? They do have the Fiend Script, Night Stalker, Puck. That's a lot of gang potential, really. And if you're TNC, you might just want to pick up a hero that you can just leave alone. And well, Geek Fam does take away the Terrorblade. Just generally pick a hero that can leave by themselves, and the rest of the team can just push together. Juggernaut actually also kind of fits the bill. Because you do have the Blade Fury, so we shall see about that.
Yep.
But yeah, I really like the Underlord pick. It's a very difficult hero to bring down, and again, as you mentioned, provides a lot of control, and it makes it really difficult for Geek Fam to initiate into like a siege. If you have the Dragon Knight Underlord siege, it's really difficult to fight into that without a proper initiation. And actually, I think that was also a big issue that they had last game, that they didn't really have a strong initiation. Into the Phantom Lancer Dusa siege. What could they do? They could just snowball in. That's not an initiation, right? So they need somebody to go in. Yeah, they do have a puck, but until that blink comes online again, there's definitely the time window where they just might not be able to fight into TNC that well. Yeah.
Is there any other hero that could pick up now for the mid lane, or like? I guess depending on where the puck ends up, right? I mean, Terrorblade's safe.
Thing is, let's just imagine it is an offlane Night Stalker, and you do have a mid lane puck. Not only would you leave your last pick to be support, right?
Bit odd, isn't it?
There's also not a good support to just pick here that counters what TNC does, right?
Yeah.
I feel like you kind of have to pick up a core right now that does sort of like deal well with these pushes that can just
all right.
That's the kind of hero that I'm looking for, right? That deals damage, that just can divert the pushes. And that's just a secondary core to the Terrorblade.
Yeah.
That said, again, I do think there's a there is going to be the time window where the puck is not going to be able to just jump in, and where TNC will have the advantage when it comes to those pushes. But it obviously always comes down to those early rotations. I think this will be a battle between Night Stalker and Tusk, and who can get the most advantage out of the laning stage, especially in that mid lane. Because the offlaners are both actually pretty difficult to kill. Puck, just as a hero, obviously is not that easy to kill. They do have the lockdown, but still, it's a Puck. And then Underlord is just naturally very tanky. So I wouldn't be surprised if we just see, a couple of 3v3 action mid.
Well, it's a sniper. All right.
Now select your heroes.
So, it's actually going to be a safe lane Dragon Knight. So it's something that we've seen a little bit more often than we used to, actually. Still not completely sold on it. But Raven picking it up and Cuckoo on the sniper. It's like he is gankable, but he has the advantage of having the range. So if he's careful enough, then he should be always hugging the tower, which makes it a little bit more tricky, even with that 4-position Night Stalker, as it turns out now.
Makes the push that much scarier because you have the DK Underlord just frontlining, and then you have the sniper in the backline. And if anything, that actually emphasizes my point of who is the initiation, who jumps the who jumps the sniper. If you find like a good off angle, you can just come from the you just backstab them and just try and go for the sniper first. But it's really not that easy. And again, even if they do have the blink puck, what's the follow up? That's actually a really big concern. Yeah, you can drop like a 5-man coil or a 5-man silence, but what's the follow up? There's like no stun or further control, and the more I think about it, the less I really like the Radiant's lineup, because again, they just really don't have that kind of like teamfight control. And you kind of need that against the Dragon Knight sniper, otherwise they're just going to have free reign in those fights.
Yeah.
And especially the sniper, if he can't contest him, he's just going to really wreak havoc.
Well, TNC, the solid draft here in game number 2. They immediately smoke up, and I actually like this. You don't often see these kind of rotations, and I really love seeing teams getting a little bit creative rather than just splitting up in the 2 runes on one side and just leaving the ones on the other side for the other team. But Ollie here in a pretty decent position to scout that out. Shots a little bit off the mark, so this will not be crowned with success.
They now also know that he has level 1 shards.
Yep.
So no snowball shenanigans. Not that it's that big of a deal, but, you know, still.
30 seconds.
We'll have to give up this
battle.
rune. Both runes, I suppose.
Well, the entire rain lineup is here. Quick orb out of the shards.
I don't think you can test this. But looks like they will.
Well, you have a Terrorblade, so damage is certainly there.
Suppose. Yeah. Will give us a 1v1 brawl.
It looks like it. He actually goes for reflection first, so damage on everybody. Tim's dropping so low, so quickly. Despite the shackles, first blood will go towards a Geek fam here. They will trade 1-for-1. The shrapnel starting to come out here, doing a bit more damage. Ollie just standing in the middle of that high ground, continuing to right click away towards mid. Only another shackles in the park this time. So another 1-for-1 and 2-for-1 here, perhaps, as double kill is being secured by the Terrorblade. Another slow from the reflection. Second cast in that fight, and 3-for-2. It's the final kill score here, just as the creeps meet.
How do I even analyze a 1v1 fight? A level 1 fight? I honestly...
That's for you to figure out, right?
Yeah. I did underestimate the damage potential from the Radiant side, but I do think it could have been much worse for the Radiant as well, because level 1, you know, on the Dire side is pretty strong. They have Firestorm, they have Shrapnel. In that choke point as well, everybody ran through the Shrapnel, right?
Yeah.
Could have been much worse for sure. But at the same time, Sniper dying there is almost okay for them, because now the Sniper in the mid lane, he has 5 tangos.
Yeah.
SF, he had to walk back and just region up with the tangos that he had pulled, and now he's like on a region deficit.
Yeah, Jan also unable to get any one of these kills, so you don't even start with that many extra souls in the mid lane. So that could have been also something that could shift the balance of power quite a bit. Now only a short range orb here. Shackles still found moment 37, followed with the early stun. Dragon Tail, you don't often see that.
And
but
SF dies mid.
Oh God.
Shrapnel just make it very, very difficult for him to run away with the shard blocking. This is not an easy lane at all. Again, I think this does come back to the region deficit. Shadowfiend just couldn't really sit in lane because he was getting bullied out of the lane by the Sniper, of course.
Yeah.
The Night Stalker, I think, realized that he can't also just stay in lane here forever. As much as he needs to help the SF, he also needs to give him space, because the SF needs the experience. Because once he hits level 3, level 5, you know, once the raises level up, it's much easier for him to catch up. And yeah, you can see both
What a nightmare! Look at this. Underlord, only level 1 brain sat here. Not enough right clicks to eat through that stout shield, but dropping quite low, but it still had the self available. So at least keeping away for the time being, away from the Terrorblade. He was level 3 now, so Metamorphosis is online. In case they want to try and bully him again.
Top lane, this Pug's not going to have an easy time. I don't think he should have died in the first time, but generally speaking, it's also just going to be very difficult for him to actually farm.
Oh, what? Guys again? Play hard, trying to trade for the Sniper, but unable to do so. Another Shrapnel, doesn't even need it. Just right-click him down. Alright, this is getting out of control fast here. They kind of won the top fight, but the ramifications here, the fallout from that, just made it so the TNC still coming out way ahead in the end.
I think it's really important right now for the Radiant to just keep their composure. Yeah, I mean, I say that even though it's very difficult. Trust me, if you lose the lane like that, it's just very easy to just, you know, enter a certain mindset. But they have to remember it is an SF, so just stack camps. Stack camps. Make sure that he has a fallback potential. He just needs the experience from this lane right now, and just leave the Night Stalker has to leave him alone. I think,
yeah.
And just apply pressure elsewhere. If he applies pressure elsewhere, it forces the Tusk out of this lane as well. But again, it's easier said than done. Night Stalker is only level 2, so there's not much he can do. But I hope, or I look forward to this Night Stalker and Puck combo potentially just pressuring the Rasta in the safe lane.
Alright, so all these lanes very fragile right now. Underlord also getting his levels up top. Puck still level 3, so still holding on to a value point in case he wants to silence for the Waning Rift. Or perhaps a phase shift as necessary. They bring down 1-4-3-7 to about half health. Also drag the creep wave around, some more free experience for him as well as the Night Stalker just before nighttime, or just as nighttime hits, I should say.
Sustains, good remains.
Ollie's getting trapped with the shards. There's no snowball available, so he should be fine, yeah. Mid lane, SF. Actually, alright, I didn't even look at this. But just just because of the kills, I just assume, all right, Sniper's completely outclassing the SF. But look at the last hits.
Yeah. They're actually all like crazy. Somehow. Maybe it's just due to the fact as well, I guess, that Sniper doesn't have the highest blasted damage himself. I mean, it's mitigated now because he has the completed Aquila.
I wonder if SF realizes this. Sometimes you know how much an opponent is last hitting, but sometimes you kind of lose track of it because you die all the time and you're focused on the sort of like the macro game between the heroes. Bottom lane, Tim's just
like, I mean,
out.
You still see the items, or you still have the general feeling, and if you look at the net worth, Sniper's still way ahead because of these kills, so it doesn't even matter all that much at this point. Mostly nice, I guess, that there even means that you're also kind of even in the experience department.
I think it kind of does matter, just because if he also had last hit it like really well, and on top of killing him, he'd be like much further ahead, right? And you're just like, oh, maybe there's like another item in the bag, and he'll just suddenly send out like shreds or phase boots or whatever.
He's actually behind in terms of levels on the Sniper. And
yeah, it's because the task was much longer in lane than the Night Stalker. And again, I think this is how the Radiant have to play. Just leave the Shadow Fiend alone.
Guards blocking Ollie, Nightmare taking over, the Shackles as 1-4-3-7 rotates in, but so does Play Hard to turn this around, to raise it, right click, 1-4-3-7 falls, Shrapnel's not going to be enough to finish a volley. And Play Hard, a couple of right clicks, also not enough for him either. Shots blocking the Shadow Fiend, all super low, but not low enough. I mean, as I always like to say, almost gets you nothing in Dota. And almost killing heroes, well, very little as well. They're still hanging around. I see Ollie, though, not quite hidden behind these creeps. The snowball will connect. The brain tap will delay his death a little bit. But the last blink from it only gets another kill on his tally.
Oh no, they're going to steal the stack.
Oh god.
The Bane, the only reason why he was here was to stack for the SF, and now they're stealing it with the Underlord, who's also not really been getting a lot of farm bottom. So this is a godsend for them.
Grapnel coming through as well. They're gonna...
Puck with a haste.
Yeah, they're gonna get every single asset here. No call available or anything. I don't think they can really do much here.
This was the SF's fallback potential. I mean, obviously it's not gone by any means. You can, just stack other cams, but...
It's like, what, double stack on a medium cam? It's not the end of the world. It's more sort of mental thing again, right? I mean, you die a couple of times, then you lose your stack. Like, you have to be really, really careful not to start tilting. Speaking of stacks, TNC making some of their own on the other side here. Double Ancients, and that'll work, and triple on a medium.
Oh, nice. Nice ward here, or nice D ward coming out from Ollie, realizing that they likely planted a ward this deep for the SF, because it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
No matter, I mean, Radiant's mid lane heroes will always just try to look to farm these camps, especially if you've had such a rough lane. So good awareness from them. The other side looks like they're trying to do something with the DK Dragon form down here. Weird. I wonder when he popped it. Must have been a while ago, yeah? It's almost running out. Did he pop it top and just TP bottom? I guess.
Possibly. The tower's also a bit lower than it should be if he didn't. Probably hit it a couple of times and rotated bottom.
I mean, he definitely dodged the top lane because of the Terror Blade.
Yeah.
But I wonder why he popped the Dragon form that early. Either way, they're still going to push this tower. Don't really need to commit, or well, they can't really commit the Shadow Shaman wards because he doesn't have them yet, but I don't think they need it.
Channels out the ultimate here, fighting up against Shadow Fiend, but realizing, hey, can't really do it out alone, so Chuan still gets a kill. Top lane, the diving deep, snowball across here. Tims will still end up falling despite that Nightmare held 1-4-3-7 away. Now he's giving up a little bit of health points over to the Terror Blade. One more right click, another one to secure double kill for Skimbaloo. TP through from Underlord lasted way too long to actually help out in any way, shape or form. It doesn't even have the Pit of Metals, 2 points up in the Atrophy Aura. Maybe that's why Terrorblade said, fuck that lane in the bottom. I kinda lost it.
Nah, I think actually the reason why he TP'd top was to contest the DK. Because they realized that he can actually contest the DK. And they don't have to give the DK a free lane. And, I mean, they were successful. It did force the DK bottom. So this is actually pretty good for the Radiant, and just in general, the movement the movement from them has been pretty good. They saw the Underlord, they saw the DK bottom, and I believe they also caught a glimpse of the Shadow Shaman, so they really went mid onto the Sniper, and then at the same time they also went top. So there's a lot of good pressure here being applied, just buying a lot of space for this SF.
Yep. It still feels like TNC,
Radiant's
they're
bottom tower
getting the better end of
has
these lanes right now, just in terms of momentum. I mean, bottom tier 1 has just fallen, mid lane. Cuckoo still feeling confident, just standing on the Radiant high ground and starting to blink away in this tier 1 tower as well. He does have Tim's next to him, so now they're just waiting for Playhard to show up again. The shot to block him, a couple right clicks, but they're turning things around. Xuan rejoining the party, the assassination will finish him off. Ollie, I could have maybe turned around and blocked that with a nightmare if they realize it, but now Raven also saying hello and getting that kill as well. Terrorblade, he wants something in exchange, throws on a reflection with a bit of slow on the sniper. Extra right click should secure that kill eventually, that is, but Xuan will play with his own life as Tim's controlled him up together with Dragon that's still so freaking strong in the front lines. And now turning things around on the Terrorblade. Another stun available in 10 seconds. Maybe they can hold out that long.
Yeah,
Terrorblade can even evade a little bit more damage on himself perhaps, but they don't even need it. With the Dragon Form expiring, the shackles come through, but the silence will cancel it. Throws down another Sunder onto the Shadow Shaman. They will right-click away with the Metamorphosis coming back as well. And 1-4-2-7, not luck for the world either. The reflection is slowing him down. Need another proper right-click. That is from the illusion. He kills himself. Oh man, this Terrorblade triple kill for Skembalo. He's just putting his team on his back right now, even just 10 minutes into the game.
And they wanted the sniper as well. Like, this Terrorblade is completely out of control. Even though his net worth doesn't actually seem that crazy. He's
Get the sniper, look at this. They don't actually have enough mana for Void for another couple of seconds. And okay.
still their stacks, you know?
Yeah.
see how it feels.
Don't really have the easiest way to farm them though, unfortunately. He's gonna have to stand here for a while.
Yeah, they're actually rotating BSF. Like,
Yeah, right.
Oh, hey, dude. You missing a couple of stacks? Here you go.
Also another 1.5 camp here that can start raising down. It's double, I believe.
They really need to be careful. They can't be overconfident here. The Metamorphosis did run out, so that's a lot of power here gone.
Coming through, there's also no Sunder for 50 seconds. So now Juan with the ultimate up on a high ground damage reduction. Now silence. One race, another race here. They will finish up Tim's, but what cost? Control up on the high ground. They lose Juan. Now the rest of them. Yeah, you better not go in there.
Not into the shrine.
Not into the shrine, into the Firestorm.
The thing is, it looks so enticing, you know? You see 3 people, you hit the orb on 3 people. It's like a triple coil, triple silence. Yeah. But no, it was the wiser decision not to commit for this. Especially since Shadow Shaman just took the tower by himself on the top lane. So all of this fighting did create some space also for TNC, even if it was just the Shadow Shaman, but it is map control taken.
Yep. Can't quite outrange the wards as it turns out. So March doesn't feel comfortable farming them up a little bit. Alright, so where does it leave us now? I mean, the gold graph has just oscillated around the 0 line for the longest time. Terrorblade, he's gotten all of these kills, but now he's been gone on himself. The stun available again, can get it off, not quite, with the extra nightmare even. Almost interrupting that. Oh man, that might have been a misplay actually from Ollie. Would have been a close call either way.
Would have been a really close call. Bit overly confident. I don't think that positioning was really that great. They don't really have good vision on the enemy right now. Like, Puck is very far up pushing and nobody's contesting. They only see the DK bottom. It's very likely they're going to sit mid. Gave up a very important kill here. And I mean, I highlighted earlier when the Terrorblade went crazy, he was technically only like 800 gold ahead of the DK, and suddenly he's only 200 gold ahead of the DK.
Yeah.
This just goes to show that, you know, kills is great and all.
Puck wants to come in here. Silence on the Underlord from the Night Stalker. Now follow up there from Puck itself now with another Metamorphosis. Nice little bit of Malice here in a really good position, but it's not enough to bring to save either one of them. 1-4-3-7 as well as SMH end up falling now. Sniper not quite fast enough here. Terrorblade with the drums looking to try and get close, but it is Tims who tanks the Sunder. And on the assassination, bringing him down to very low health indeed. Juan taking over as Dragon Knight super low, ends up falling in shrapnel. Alright, this Nightmare dodging one of the tower shots probably necessary there. Assassination also already used. None of these players from Geek Fam will end up dropping in the end. Sniper barely surviving, which is like the one thing that didn't quite go according to plan. But yeah, John dying, Terrorblade dying, but they picked themselves right back up with another great team fight in mid.
That was a really well played fight here. The Terrorblade, they really know how to fight with this hero, man.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy, but the Terrorblade is effectively just the one sort of like creating space for the SF. He just knows, alright, I have this early advantage, let's just fight. Bought the drums very early on. went through pretty much most of the charges as well, just because, you know, it's very important to just keep chase. And this is buying so much time and creating so much space for the others. The map control, of course, also very important. Taking the tower, giving them access to the dire jungle, and if they can take this top tier 1 tower as well, it just, you know, makes it very difficult for the sniper to farm on the map. Because right now he only has drums on his sniper. That's not good. He needs the Hurricane Pike with like a 4-staff to play a little bit safer.
Looking for him again. He's able to juke out towards the left.
He actually he doesn't have a TP. It's like 36-second down. So
Not sure they realize it actually. They have a scan available if they want to try and confirm.
Middle tower is under attack.
Come on, eventually. Ah, come on, Ollie. No.
That one nook. He found that one nook.
Oh. If they only knew how close they were.
Do they have a scan available? No, they do not.
Dire's
Oh yeah,
top
they don't.
tower
That was
is under attack.
sniper.
Alright, they wasted a lot of time up here. They have to defend this bottom lane. They can't just let this tower fall against the DK.
Radiant's bottom tower.
Well, calls available. Silence as well from Puck. He starts this fight off. Meanwhile, silence from Night Stalker means the Tusk cannot help out at all. So Dragon Knight actually still pretty damn tanky. Trying to TP out, will not be successful. Just in the nick of time, there was a nightmare to cancel it out. They get that kill. They also secure middle lane with John TPing in. And what the hell? Where was he? What?
Yeah, Shadow Shaman solo kill by the Night Stalker.
Died in base even. What the hell?
I'm not sure why.
Damage over time from Leon. Alright.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, must have been.
Kind of looked like he actually just died from the last hit, but I guess it must have been
Dire's
the
middle
run.
tower is under attack.
Yeah, just good play. Again, they had to contest the tower. They did. Can't really afford to just let the DK take a tower for free like that. Could even try to group up and push. They didn't really commit the Metamorphosis with that fight at all, so, you know, they have that available now. And I feel like they should commit to this push. They did just plant a ward behind the T1 tower as well, so they kind of have good vision around there.
Yeah.
And I believe... Puck is very close to the blink. They really need the blink. Makes it that much easier to contest towers because, you know, you have that in range of initiation.
Yeah. 20 gold off, so they'll wait for that to tick in before they commit for anything else. Well, Ollie making sure that Skimbaloo will be fine down on the bottom.
Night Stalker finds a sniper. Oh, that sniper is so scared of this Night Stalker. Honestly, I feel like he could have not used the Void and still been very intimidating.
Yeah. He's pretty fast at nighttime, right? You
No.
can't outrun the sniper, can you?
Even with Shrapnel just slowing you down, I feel like that could have been enough, but...
Alright, bottom lane fight seems to be breaking out to a bit of Malice, but Terrorblade with Metamorphosis starting to wreck it away. Bit of a snowball here, plus the another TP Tims, though he's just falling way too quickly for that.
Oh. And the SF takes the top tower. These past couple of minutes for Geek Fam have been so important for them, really. The SF, I mean, for the longest time has been held down, you know, his stacks have been stolen, 4 deaths, and now look at him.
Radiant's middle tower.
1k ahead of the DK,
Dire's top tower.
2k ahead of the sniper.
It
has to
so
feel so
stagnant, right? It feels like they've been 6k net worth for like the past 5 minutes.
That's actually because they literally have been. So,
Yeah.
They've not really grown, or they've not really gotten much more money at all. The sniper just has a really difficult time farming, really. Especially since, you know, I mentioned earlier, losing the control of their own jungle this early on makes it really difficult for the sniper. Because he has to be in lane. Or in, I guess, in like the deeper part of the jungle, but it's not that easy to farm like farm there. And if he is in lane, it's very easy to just gank him, right? You saw the Night Stalker just intimidating and zoning him out of their own jungle. It's not easy for the sniper at all, and at least until he has that first 4-staff. Once he has the 4-staff, it's somewhat easier, but still not that easy, especially once the Puck picks up a blink.
Yeah.
And I expect, or I kind of, oh, I hear a Hex.
I think it was on a creep.
I do think that Puck and Night Stalker should just smoke up for during the next nighttime and just try to create some space. They have a lot of killing potential. I think they can kill pretty much anybody that isn't DK or Underworld.
Alright, I mean... Only 3 heroes down on bottom here for TNC, but they're playing like this more than that. It's very far forward, like... Just imagine a Fiend script on the retreat. On top of the Terrorblade being there. He doesn't have the Metamorphosis, but... Can still do a decent amount of damage at this point. Has the Genting Jan completed, so very stat efficient build in terms of items here in this hero.
Yeah, this is like a heavy fighting build as well. He wants to be part of these early fights. I mean, he has been part of these early fights.
Yeah.
He's 11, 1, and 5. He's been part of 16 kills.
Out of the 20 that they have, and it's a pretty good percentage for a Terrorblade. I mean, it's a very scary late game carry, but if you can find ways to make him work early, and they definitely can, right? You just have to make sure to use the Thunder properly to have a bit of defensive utility for him, because he is kind of squishy until he gets these start items. But yeah, he can do a ridiculous amount of work just with Metamorphosis damage.
Top lane,
and
Nightmare into the Tusk should be an easy kill for them.
yeah, Snowball coming through. Looks so weird with a reflection image on top of the Snowball. Don't even have to commit to Fiend Script. Have you seen once Fiend Script this game?
Yeah, actually, in the mid lane earlier. They
Yeah.
Fiend script the Underlord, I think. But yeah, with this, they should be able to get the tower. They did just see the DK. Oh, nice silence here. There's a
Oh
Fiend
wow!
script.
There we go. Didn't see the Underlord there, but he ends up dropping at the same time. They did lose the puck down on bottom, so there will be a 1-for-1 tower trade with the Serpent Wards, as well as the DK ultimate committed down
2
here.
for 1, mid tower is also falling.
Oh yeah, that is.
But they're gonna punish the
was-
sniper for this. Great rotation for the Night Stalker. Oh, never mind, he's probably getting away.
Yeah,
Radiant's
again,
bottom tower
not holding
has
onto the
fallen.
void, not having anything else. The mid tower is actually still alive, entered in an eye range here, and yeah, Juan will be making sure that the catapult will not be able to finish it off. You know, what's the thinking here? Do you actually deny this tower now, or do you just hold on to it just for map control?
I think once they pass by it, they will deny it. But right now they want to focus Roshan, of course, so they're not gonna go out of their way just to quickly deny the tier 1 mid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really love the movement. I called out for smoke with the puck earlier, but it makes sense to also just smoke with the Terrorblade, because if you do get a successful kill in lane, you can just threaten the tower, and that's what they did.
Yep.
Really crisp movement here coming out from the Geek fam. They give the Aegis to the SF. He desperately needs it. I say desperately. He's still ahead, so it's like not like he's actually in danger. But
He's more likely to die.
he's
than
definitely
Terrorblade,
more
right?
likely to die. Even though he's ahead in terms of net worth, in comparison to the other heroes, his items doesn't really reflect it. I don't think, or
Is
don't
there
really
something on
reflect
the
it. It's like
Korea?
can't see anything.
BKB.
Oh, that's a finished BKB. Oh,
Yeah.
well, there it is. All right, now that looks like an inventory of a guy with 10k net worth.
Absolutely.
Smoking top. They might find this Night Stalker here.
So fast.
Are they looking for him? They are. All right.
It's the only one that can't get at this point. They do bring him down.
The grave.
It's 4 heroes against 1 essentially in this particular area. That does mean though that the rest of Geek fam can feel very comfortable just finishing off the T1 tower at last in the bottom lane. It's TNC. They still need to buy more time. Mid only on the sniper. 9k net worth. And he actually gets the tower himself after all, so no deny coming through. Bit of a freebie. Unfortunate. Silver World's coming in up top, so yeah, TNC just they're objective-based gaming right now, as long as Geek fam lets them now blink in, but blink in as well from Puck. He does get hexed up, shackled up, brought down immediately, but a big old Chiwan with the ultimate, right-clicks galore under the cover of BKB, and again the Nightmare to cancel TP in the nick of time. That was a very quick, almost complete team wipe. The only reason Sniper survives is that he legged it as early as that initiation came out.
Was he even really part of that fight?
Not really. Yeah,
Not really, right? That was disgusting, honestly. The SF realizing, well, why don't I just wind up my ultimate? They have nothing to stop me during BKB. This team...
He shrapnelled and then he forced off the way, I guess.
Yeah. That was... yeah, again, very, very strong team fight from them. Puck just going in, knowing, well, even if I die, the rest of my team can just clean up.
Dire's middle tower is under
They
attack.
didn't even...
Dire's
Well,
structures
actually, well, they
are
did have meta
fortified.
for that at the beginning, I believe.
United.
Did they? Meta is off cooldown. Did they really not use meta at all for the
don't think
entire
so,
team
no.
fight? Alright,
They're all sitting next to each other. I mean,
go
you don't
high
even
ground
need
then.
that.
Have Aegis, you have Metamorphosis. Why
Hey,
not?
what? You don't have a sniper? I mean, look at this. That was a
Solo
solo kill.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
I didn't even see that happening
He
here.
does
What-
have a solo crest. That makes
Yeah.
it much, much easier.
Oh, yeah. Alright. Bring down the Hex. Starting to drop low on the Terrorblade. Gotta be a bit careful, but Sunder available. This Consuelo can just Sunder one of your teammates, but Sean, well...
They have 30 more seconds. I feel like they I feel like they need to push with this creep wave.
2 minutes left on the Aegis. That's like the best time that they have right now.
They have a blink coil available again.
promises Underlord is just very good at defending high ground now. Fam fighting on top. There it is. Silence Cancel Shackles. They're going to go in now with the coil on to 2. Now Scamblue with the Metamorphosis, with the illusions. Bring down 1, bring down 2. Almost here. 1-4-3-7 gets away. Now the force off to make sure the Terrorblade is just fine. Can turn around for an ultimate if Thunder. That is just in time despite the shackles. The freeze group cancelled here. Ollie with the plays. And now the fight still rages on. Juan with another BKB on top of the ultimate. Tim's just rolling into his death as he just came back alive. He fought back for this. Now, I guess he died back. The shrapnel coming through might set up for something here now with the assassination onto Terrorblade. He does end up dropping. Finally, mid only securing the double kill. The rest of his team still chasing further. Nightstalker does get a TP out before DK, before Raven can react to that.
That was a very clutch fight for the Dire side. TNC really needed this fight, killing the Terrorblade. Yeah, you lose the Tusk twice, but killing the Terrorblade and giving the kill to the sniper, no less, is so important. Suddenly, you know, we have a Maelstrom on him, and he can just accelerate his farm. I mean, he's had a Maelstrom before, but, you know, it's just like accelerating his farm, giving him that net worth. He could build it the Hurricane Pike now with that, with those 2 kills, and very important for them. Also defending the racks, holding the racks, losing racks early. While they could technically hold it, right? They have the Underlord, they have the Sniper, they will be able to hold it. It's just map control that they will be giving away. It's just constant pressure that they would be facing, and this was really important for them. Being able to weather the storm, despite the Aegis as well. I do think that it was a bit of a mistake from Geek Fam, you know, for the Nightstalker to go in like that as he did. Yeah. It kind of forced Geek Fam into a fight that they didn't want to. They had to drop the coil very deep into the base. They had to go in and fight in a position that they didn't want to.
I feel like they don't have any other choice though if they in this kind of besieged position because of the Underlord, right? You have to go in. You have to force the fight away from the tower, and if you can't do it in front of the base, you have to do it inside the base. So I mean, the tower still did take a lot of damage. So they almost did bring that down. So I do want to say, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt that it's a risky play for sure, and at the end of the day, I mean, Terrorblade could have died even earlier if it wasn't for the great play from Ollie, just cancelling the shackles with the Fiend Scrape in time for him to get the Thunder up. I feel like if you're in this situation, unless you have the Underlord picked up before, you have to go for these kind of plays.
You do have a point. I do think, though, that they could have... I feel like letting or forcing that fight into that direction is just also very unfavorable because, I mean, you still have to walk uphill on, like, both the Shadow Fiend and the Terrorblade, and you still kind of walk through the territory of the Underlord's, like, wrath, right? Yeah. So in that sense, I'm not sure how much that actually mitigates. Oh, the DK finds this... He doesn't...
Oh, quick BKB there from Shadow Fiend. Now forced forward into the ultimate. BKB as well from Dragon Knight available. He's still being slowed down by his illusion. Now the quick old taxi service back home.
Roshan? No,
I'm just saying, hey guys, we're just joshing. We don't actually want to fight you. Goodbye. Roshan not quite back up yet. May respawn in 1.5 minutes.
That was very quick thinking on TNC's side.
Yeah.
Very valiant effort with the smoke gang, of course. I mean, if it had worked, I mean, if it had been any other hero, other than like, if it had been the TB, that's definitely a stun. I'm not sure if they would have actually been able to kill him because he's also very tanky, but still, a very good effort on their part. Also, just pulling out. That's the strength of the Underlord. You mentioned it during the draft. You know, the flexibility, the mobility across the map to be able to pull off such plays. With any other hero, pulling off such a play, it just puts you in a very awkward position because you're committing with 5 heroes, your waves are getting pushed out, and you can't, you know, have to fall back. But it almost felt like they didn't really commit too much into this.
Yeah. It is a relatively low cooldown. It's still 2 minutes, right? But it's not the kind of Ravage thing, right? Where if you cannot possibly take a team fight if it's on cooldown, it's just you have to be a little bit careful if you want to make these kind of deep plays without vision onto the other side of the map. The only reason they went for that was because they had this exit strategy. They can do it again in 40 seconds if they want.
TB working on Scotty, and you know, with every item it's going to be much more difficult to bring down this Terrorblade.
Yeah. But he's still a little just accelerating forward and forward. 16k net worth, still about 3k out of the sniper.
I will
Juan
say
also not too far away from that.
I will say that obviously, you know, with the Firestorm from the Underlord. Yeah, I wanted to call him Terrorblade for some reason. Yeah, but the Firestorm is a very strong spell against those high HP heroes. But Terrorblade still, you want the Scotty just for the slow, but also just being able to tank through the sniper shots. just a very annoying hero to deal with as a Terrorblade, really.
Yep. Well, for now, TNC playing minute confident. They've already brought down the tier 2 in the bottom. They don't quite have the career wave with them just yet. Still plenty of time for Geek to react to this, and they make the choice. Alright, smoke up. Do have the Puck as the sole unsmoked hero here in lane, just to try and get some more vision. They do have the ward here in the back to scout out some of these heroes. Darkroot already though, never mind.
TNC,
They are too
TNC's
scared
awareness,
after all.
TNC's awareness is on point.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say that it was very telegraphed. You know, there's like nobody's pushing top, nobody's pushing mid, nobody's showing bottom. It's very likely that they're setting up for smoking. I mean, there's that unlikely scenario where they're maybe like in the jungle. Actually, now that I think about it, I wonder if TNC didn't even want to dodge this, dodge the gank as much as they wanted to set up a gank of their own because they're smoked up, right? Either way, Roshan not up. Could have been a cute play here.
A pretty long respawn timer, still about a minute and 10 seconds until that big guy is back in his cage or cave, I guess.
Well,
Mountain
in
cave,
some
whatever it
some
is.
ways, it's also kind of a cage because you're trapped to, you know, just be in there.
Yeah, you can get out though.
Well,
Roshan can walk out if he wants to.
Can you though? He always walks back in.
Yeah, because it's his home. Like, you don't want to leave your home, right? You don't, who knows what happens?
Dire's bottom tower.
Like, that's what happens to all these
Look.
creeps, right? You leave your home, then you come back, and there's another family moved in.
If you keep getting murdered in your own home, would you go back there all the time? I mean, granted, you respawn once you die. But
Yeah. Good points here. I mean, again, just gonna have to accept this and move on, I guess.
let's
Oh, well.
let's look at some of the items. We have Crimson Guard pipe on Underlord. I mean, we've had those for quite some time now. There's the finished Hurricane Pike on the sniper. He's working on the Mjolnir next. Other than that, I mean, Scotty finished on TB. Puck working on a Lincoln's. There's not really that many like clutch items coming out where you could say, all right, this is the kind of timing that you need to hit in order to, you know, do stuff. I guess the Scotty is one of those items, but just because Roshan is not available, it's not really much that they can do. I don't think they want to force a high ground fight or high ground siege without Aegis at this stage. Oh, the Hex is there. No, he doesn't. Shadow doesn't want. No, he doesn't want any piece of this.
He's a bit of panic mode, and actually still alive. Alright.
Nightstalker didn't want to. He wasn't sure where the enemy was, so he didn't want to stay in range there. Especially since he has the gem, right? He has the gem. He could have technically detected the Shadow Shaman, but doesn't want to lose the gem at this stage of the game.
At the very least, it's a water on cooldown for a little while. Especially here as Roshan, they scouted that out as well. It's not the end of the world here for TNC. They can still definitely contest it here just because of the Underlord, the Shrapnels being very efficient in that particular
I
part
love
of the
this
map.
item, E-Blade coming out from the SF.
Oh, yeah. Good defensive utility as well as offensive, really.
Exactly. Puck bottom might be tanking this gank, but if they do see everybody here, they do with that one ward, they spot them all out, and this opens up Roshan.
Yeah.
That's actually the most important part. It doesn't really matter if Puck dies here or not. This is a free Rosh.
It doesn't, as he'll lose rope speed and distance. Roshan falls there, Aegis and Chase in hands of Geek more than likely. They're scrapping though. TNC, they don't want to let this go if they have any choice at all, but they're too late. You have to be careful not to just run into a death mill right now.
Smoke up? I just could have sworn I saw a smoke up. Well, they didn't smoke up, but yeah, Puck, huge player. I mean, this is pretty much how they've been playing this Puck the entire time. They've been always sacking him. I called out for a smoke like 20 minutes ago, and ever since, they've never smoked with a Puck. Or if they did smoke with a Puck, it was because they were all smoked up. But most of the time, you know, they smoked up with a Terrorblade, Nightstalker, Bane, sometimes with ESF, but almost never with a Puck. And it just goes to show how they want to approach this game. Puck, if anything, is just here to create space. Scout ganks and tank ganks, if anything, because he's the one that can actually, you know, play he's very elusive. It's easy to kill. I don't know. I've been enjoying this Puck performance.
Yeah.
But also, of course, I mean, the Terrorblade. Hello.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of March's heroes. Like, it's also one of Skimbaloo's heroes, really. They are certainly in their comfort zone. It really shows. Like Geek Fam, they've even in game number 1, if the game lasted a little bit longer, they held on for like 5 or 10 more minutes to a point where you're past this timing where Naga Siren isn't all that useful. And that game looks different as well. And in this one, they have a slightly, a bit of a better draft, to say the least. Deft the Terrorblade just continuing to be on top, together with the Shadow Fiend. So if this dual core lineup, that is exactly where they want to be.
They really just found a DD rune. March gave his bottle to the TB, knowing that, alright, I mean, just set up for a tower siege now with this DD whenever we want to.
Tier 3 mid is very low, so it should make it fairly easy
Aegis
to
G
finish
is
at least that
available,
off.
of course. They have a Linken's if necessary for the TB as well. Puck was already just putting it onto the TB.
Don't have prepave though, bit of an issue.
To be fair, that's always going to be an issue against the Underlord and the Sniper. Oh, they're going to go in.
Yeah, back to regions taken care of here. Tanks up a lot of shackles here. Now the Sunder with a BKB. Temps dropping so low. They have the vision. They bring him down in the end. Now focusing back on top of the buildings, forcing out the glyph. BKB is going to time out soon. Another buyback here onto Tims. Meanwhile, Night Stalker, he has to be careful. He can't fly back across, and yeah, he's not just dying with a gem just yet. Meanwhile, there it is, the Terrorblade on the side. Fiend's Grip. That's Underlord down the drain. Very important kill to get Shackles, but no follow-up here as well. Now the Razors come through. Park also part of the party. Triple kill for the Terrorblade. He might end up dying here. He will not come back with his Metamorphosis. But will come back, and there's still only 2 heroes left. They are the 2 most important heroes with the Dragon Knight that blinks in into the... There's also another Sun available here. We can just get close enough, but a knockback. It's a little bit annoying. So Chuan and March's head will take over, right? They're all dead, and this is GG, isn't it?
Very likely.
Has to
That's at least ones out of racks. 2. I'm not sure if I can actually go for 3. Just
Down
because
for a
the Underlord's
minute.
back in 30 seconds.
Down for a minute and more than that. Like, there's no way that a Shadow Charm defends this.
Oh, but yeah, the Terrorblade is, the Underlord is technically back in 30 seconds. But yeah, this should be at least 2 set, 2.5.
The next one that comes up.
The one issue, I
Terrorblade
guess,
will
is that Terrorblade technically is low, but you know, I like it. Oh, well.
You were saying? I could have just waited for anyone of the other team to show up and then sunder them, but yeah.
They're gonna clean up house. I think this is very much GG. TNC are just holding out for now. Maybe they're gonna give it one last hurrah, even though they're gonna concede Mega Creeps for it.
Holding out for a miracle. Perhaps holding out for a hero, but who's this hero going to be?
What a Desolator.
God, didn't even notice that.
Want to finish it. Finish it early. Right, even if they don't call GG, alright, let's just assume they want to contest this stall. Let's just assume they still think they have a fighting chance here. What is that opening? I'm quite sure. Honestly, I don't know. How do you take down the Terrorblade and the SF at this stage?
I
DK
think you do. I mean,
doesn't really deal any damage right now.
Yeah.
Sniper is the pretty much main source of damage.
I mean, especially through the BKBs.
Yeah.
Right. Like you can't really kill them if they have all that utility available, and the sniper is being taken care of by the puck more or less. Right. As soon as they get close to him, he dies. That's what it comes down to.
They just don't have enough control against the BKBs.
Yeah,
Like you mentioned, that's a nice ward and nice to pick off.
Like what, the 3rd death on Tims in a very short duration. He's snowballing into one of the heroes instead of the creeps, unfortunately. Oh yeah. Well, actually, to turn this around, Blink Sun of the Bane. Tim's doing what he can, he'll still end up falling. Now Glimmer Cave will keep Bane safe. Call Nightmare to turn this around, but there's more heroes from TNC. But also more heroes from Geek Fam. Assassination comes through, Bane not quite dead to that yet either. Night Stalker tanking quite a few right clicks here, but he's super tanky himself. Meanwhile up top, alright, March is fighting up against the Shadow Shaman, forcing out another set of wards. And finally Terrorblade, as soon as he comes in, they have to pull the exit button, or press the exit button.
I mean,
I
think it's a valiant effort to fight outside your base, but again, this lineup just doesn't, right now, just doesn't really deal any damage. This Terrorblade and SF, they can just sit in the front lines, and what's really happening here?
Yeah.
Butterfly now on the Terrorblade as well. Like, this sniper is not even going to touch the Terrorblade. So yeah,
this game was over with the last team fight.
For sure.
Now it's just a matter of cleaning out the formalities, you know, do the paperwork. Throw out a couple of extra signature kills, I guess. And that is finally coming through. Tim's.
What a performance, honestly, from Geek Fam. And this is the kind of Geek Fam that we expected, or that we sort of were hoping to see, just based on the performance that we've seen earlier, right?
Yeah.
They've been really steadily growing in this qualifier, And they're showing in this game that they're very much a team to be reckoned with in this region as well, at least at the moment. And certainly while the likes of Mineski and Fnatic aren't part of the qualifier, right?
Yeah.
Strong performance. It starts with the draft, but then that performance on the Terrorblade really sets it apart. Having the SF suffer so much, it was really important to have one hero pull through there, and it honestly could have only been the Terrorblade. What's the Puck really gonna do? Because he didn't have a good laning stage either. So Terrorblade to pull through like that, it was pretty much the only way for them to win, and they did it.
Terrorblade is a scary carry, right? We saw his prowess in the late game, we saw his prowess in the early game. This makes him so strong if you have the right lineup around him, right? And in this case they did, right? They had a decent amount of, like, not the classic defensive supports really, but they had enough offensive power to make sure that there's other issues for TNC. Like, TNC, they ended up focusing a lot on Juan, right? Trying to bring him down, but it's, as you said, time and time again, throughout this entire qualifier series, dying in mid, as long as you have this fallback potential with the AoE to clear stacks, doesn't really matter too much. John got up, held his net worth here. Throughout the end, he was neck and neck with his own Terrorblade. So
it's especially not even that big of a deal if the heroes that you give those kills to don't like snowball really hard.
Yeah.
Right? If this had been, let's say, Queen of Pain, and she kills the SF like 10 times, and she suddenly has like a 12-minute Orchid or something, that is a huge deal, right?
Yeah.
But who did they give the kills to? It's like a sniper, a Tusk maybe, I guess, but that's about it, right? Those heroes don't like take control and dictate the pace of the game in the mid game, right? It just gives them a good head start. It's nice to have like an early 4-staff on the sniper, but that's about it. And the Terrorblade just came in and cleaned up house, and he itemized in a very like. I'm not saying obviously drums and Santinyash isn't necessarily that unusual of a build. Yeah. But it was important to have those items in this game. Like, it was a must-have.
Absolutely.
Because, I mean, so many times he just popped drums and just ran people down, right? He couldn't have done it with any other items. So it was really important for him to itemize in the way he did. And, just coming in clutch. And, yeah, I don't know. But I think Geek Fam just really showed us that they're capable of these kind of things. And Game 3 should be a really good one.
It should be indeed. And that's going to come up in just a couple of minutes' time. So don't go too far away.